Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. Warhammer Day 2025 saw the release of the limited edition Chaos Lord, Urkhan the Dark Warden. Standing tall in chunky Chaos armour and with an imposing stare and stance, it's a great commemorative model. Now in this tutorial I'll show you how to match the box art with contrast paints in next to no time at all. He's easily doable in a day and my method means he doesn't get added to that endless pile of potential. So without further ado, grab your paints, grab your brushes, let's get hot. And let's begin with Urkhan the Dark Warden, our 2025 Warhammer Day exclusive. He is chunky, he is brilliant. Lots of detail, let's get cracking. To begin with, to note, the model is fully primed in White Scar. Now let's talk about the first colour, and it's important that you all start with this colour. Start with Gryph Orange, mix it in a 1-to-1 with Lahmium Medium. It's going to thin it down and give us a lot of control. Why are we doing this colour first? Well, we'll talk about the methodology in the next step, but the important part is this section here, the underside. It is a pain in the backside to get to. This side is easy, this side is a pain. So let's focus on this side. Any old brush will do. I've used a small layer, just apply it on like you normally would. When you get to this section here, and you can see the edge highlight, anything from there to there is a pain, but you can easily reach it. It's not impossible. There's just a couple of things to point out. First of all, I used a small airbrush. Next thing to point out, it was an old battered, really worn out. It's got no other uses apart from mixing or for really ramming into those areas, because if you try and get a nice normal brush in that's good quality, you're going to end up bending the bristles and damaging it. We want something that's old, worn and beaten that we can just get in there and get every section base coated in this colour. The beauty of the model, the way he's structured, this is all solid armor. We're going to be painting in metallic details. If you catch the armor, good example, where can we show? Looks like I've been rather neat, but there's little bits, there will be bits on his armor. In fact, you can see there, just on the ankle shin there, you're going to catch it, but because we're base coating in metals, it's not a problem. So get that color in place. What we're going to then do is apply red in the next step, avoiding all the edges, meaning we got that highlight in place, and that entire section, which is a bit of a pain, will be completely done. And next up, we're finishing that cloak. Now, as you can see, it's a lot darker. It's wet, it's still drying because I've just shaded it, but let's go for the colours. First of all, we're going to take into a palette 3 parts of Baal Red. We're going to take 1 part of Black Templar. And we're going to take 1 part of Lahmium Medium. Mix that together. Now, the Baal Red is really bright and vivid. The Black Templar is going to darken it a lot, almost the Blood Angel's red, but it's going to have that blackish tint where it becomes a lot more dirtier looking, and that's the kind of effect that you want to go for here. Quite simply, exactly the same as before. We're sort of smashing the old brush into the inside of this section, just covering every detail. On this section, we're being a lot neater. We're painting up to the lines where the highlights would be, and avoiding them, leaving that natural highlight in place, meaning the red is completely done. However, what we want to do, because it is going to be quite bright and vivid in certain areas, we want to tie those colours together. So when that's completely dry, I've taken Nuln Oil and just shaded it all over. There's no real neatness here, but we are checking for pooling. Obviously, areas like this, it will start to drain down to, especially in this big natural recess here. So just keep an eye on it. We obviously want it to fit into the recess, but not end up in a great big puddle. Get that done, let it dry, our red is complete. Next up, we're painting the cloak and the shield. Think of this again as the foundation colour that we're going to be building up later on. Now just to note, there are little splashes of orange that are caught on the outside. It's not going to matter. We're going to make the bottom of the part of the cloak really grungy and dirty, almost with brown highlights too at the end, just like we're matching the box art. But to begin with, we want this colour all over. And the colour I've used here is Retributor Grey. And I have thinned it down in a 1-to-1 mix with Lahmium Medium. Don't want it too dark, and I want a nice even flow all over, especially over that shield. I want it nice and flat. And the Lahmium Medium will really help us here. So paint it on. Good tip, start at the top, work your way down. Especially on the cloak, we don't want it to pull heavily, and you will find, especially with that amount of Lahmium Medium, it is going to flow quite a lot. But get that on. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. We are going to be blackening it up in the next few steps, but we just need that there. and while it's dry we'll move on to some other details. Next up, while we're waiting for that Gryph Charger Grey to completely dry, I've painted in some new details. We're taking Gore Grunta Fur, and this is two different areas. So on the waist you've got the belt that is in leather, and we want to get that done, and you've got all this fur around the cloak. Nice and simple, we're just painting it on, letting it settle nicely and darkly into those recesses. So we'll get all that done, and then by the time it's done we can move back to the Gryph Charger Grey. Next up, we're taking Nuln Oil. Nice and simply, we're shading this over all the Gryph Charger Grey details we've done. Now think of this once again as building up that under layer colour, and this is now going to be our edge highlighting colour. We're going to apply Black Templar in the next step, just to build up to that black, but leaving obviously all this colour in place. It really sets the tone and the overall feel of the model. Next up, we're taking Black Templar, and the next stage requires a lot of precision, as well as a bit of, relaxation, in the sense there's a bit we can just get away with. So, with the Black Templar, let's focus on the shield and the cloak to begin with. First of all, I'm painting up to the edges, not including the edges, but there is a way to speed this up. In the sense, if we take it from, say, this part, we go all the way around, it's going to take a long time. Alternatively, what we can do, because I'm not finished with the black yet, so it doesn't matter if there's a couple of drying lines, and being that's a dark colour anyway, you're not going to get that many drying lines at all. We can simply just sketch out all these areas to begin with. So for example, let's just pick out this line and these little indentations here. If we draw a black line around them, and then that one there, we know exactly where we're painting up to. And then once all those lines are in place, we can just fill in all the black details. Same again on the shield, it just leaves that edge highlight in place. At the moment, it's too bright. I want it like this, because we're going to take it to the next step to make it like the box art, but we'll cover that next. Now, with a Black Templar, at the same time, while we got it to hand, I just painted it over the wraps. You've got the hair, you've got the dagger, you've got the sword, as well as the rocks on the base. Nice and simple, take your time, being neat, has a lot of rewards at the end. Next up, we're moving on to some brown details, mainly the base, and it's important we get this done next, because once we've done the cloak, we've got this already done, it's all going to tie into place and practically almost finish the model. So to begin with, let's talk the colours. First of all, I've taken Skeleton Horde. Nice and simply, we've got the one skull here. Turning round, you've got the skull on the back there. Nice and simple, nice and classic there with the contrast paints. Next up, I'm taking Wyldwood, but I've also used Sterling Mud. So we've got Sterling Mud around the base. Once it's dry, I've taken Wyldwood. I've painted it over the Sterling Mud, over all the soil of the base, as well as all the Gore Grunta fur, but also the Gore Grunta Fur belts. In a sense, it's a recess shade where we just gone into the recesses, not doing the edges, and that edge highlight, which is the Gore Grunta Fur, is automatically in place, finishing off those details. It's nice and simple. Once that's all done, we'll move back to the cloak. Next up, we're focusing on all those black details once more just to finish them off. We want to pick a paint that's going to bring it all together, still keep the edge highlights in place, still keep the black in place, but just bring those two different tones just slightly more together. The colour I've used here is Space Wolves Grey. We've not thinned it down, it's just painted from the top to the bottom, all over. And as you can see, the highlights don't actually change as much, they'll just darken ever so slightly. The black remains the same, and it just blends the colours just ever so slightly towards each other. And it's just subtle, and it just works. And that finishes off all of our black details. Next up, we're taking Flesh Tearers Red. And nice and simple, we've got the plume on the top of the head here. This is if you've gone for the helmetless option. And then you've got the little wrap that's holding the skull at the back. So that's just nice and simple. Moving on from that, we're going to take advantage. We're going to be working on the head next. But we've got the teeth that are exposed in that nasty little grimacing growl. I'm going to take Nuln Oil now. I'm going to put it into the mouth. And that just means by the time I get onto the face, it's going to be completely dry. It means the colours being so thin aren't just going to blend and spoil all the details. So it's worth doing now. And I've also used the Nuln Oils to go over the wraps. So you've got the plume wrap in the Black Templar, you've got the main sword wrap here, and then you've got the little wrap of the dagger. It just helps to enhance the recesses. Next up, we're base coating that face, and it's nice and simple. There's a lot of recesses, and we can take full advantage of that just by using shade paints alone. So to begin with, taking a nice smooth layer, we're not overloading the brush, we're not filling it down, but we just want an even layer. We're going to take Reikland Fleshshade, paint it over the entire face, obviously avoiding the teeth. Don't worry if you catch the areas around the head, because that's all going to be metallic armour, and just let that dry completely. When it's dry completely, in the exact same principle of having a small amount on the tip of the brush, just applying it, and even there all over without having to thin it down, we're applying Berserker Bloodshade. Gives it a slight reddish tint to the skin tone, giving that angry feel of a Chaos Warrior. Nice and simple, it's highly effective and looks great. First of all, it's worth mentioning I've applied that same skin tone Reikland Fleshshade and Berserker Bloodshade over the hand that's attached to the shield. It's just worth mentioning that as well. Now moving on to the next stage, we're going to do some highlights just to finish off our whole selection of details. To begin with, we're taking Karak Stone, and this is going to be pure dry brushing. So to begin with, we've got all the base, and that will finish off the Black, Templar, the Wyldwood soil, as well as the Stern Mud. But at the same time, I've also dry brushed the fur, just to give that a nice little edge highlight. And then when you turn the model upside down, with the Karak Stone, like a dry brush, but also just attacking roughly all these bottom areas just to give this natural dusting, dirty blend. Do as little or as much as you want, but where I mentioned earlier that, oh dear, I've caught a bit of red on the bottom there, this is where it automatically gets corrected, because the Black Templar that we did at the beginning, that covered the main base area, and the edge highlight is now Karak Stone. So that's why it's been fixed. Moving on from that, I've taken Screaming Skull, nice and simple. This is just over the skull, so you've got one here, and as a reminder, you've got the one at the back. And while we're doing a couple of these highlights, finishing off all the details we've done so far, I've taken Wild Rider Red, and this is full of our red details. So the plume, and this little bit of rope here. Nice and simple. Next up, we're still continuing with our highlights, because I want to get this all done before moving on to the metallics. So to begin with, we're taking Flayed One Flesh. Nice and simple, this is mostly spot highlights. Just on the face, on the hands, it's just nice and simple. It just makes those features pop. There's a couple of little edge highlights on the main actual face though, where you've got this chaos sign that's been scratched into his face. You just do very careful edge highlights around there, as well as the ears. Nice and simple. Moving on from that, we're taking Administratum Grey. This is just very simple little edge highlights just along those Black Templar details of the wraps. We haven't got to go too crazy. For instance, on the plume, all I've done is the front and the back, not worrying about the sides, because you're not really going to be looking at it from the side like that. Whereas this one, I have gone all the way around, whereas this one, I'm only focusing on the front two bits there. Moving on from that, we're going back to the face once again, and I've taken White Scar, and this is going to be for the eyes. The best way to apply this is to put your model sideways like this, and just very carefully get the brush in, just very gently apply a small amount there, and at the same time I have picked out the teeth just a little bit more. Once that's dried, we're taking Abaddon Black, and once again this is absolutely incredibly tiny, little pinpoint on a small airbrush, whatever angle's best for you. I kind of had it sort of this angle, where I've just given it a slight little dot, which you can just about see on both eyes. Nice and simple, just take your time. Our next set of details involve 3 different paints. So to begin with, I have gone back to Black Templar, and this is really studying the image here. You've got this little Chaos rune here on this little shield plate. It is the background black, so I've done Black Templar. It does mean we've got an automatic edge highlight in place, and you've got this black leather strap here on his arm. Again, using Black Templar, it sets in the recess in that center bit there, and then the outer 2 edges have an automatic highlight. So that just finishes off those details. I'm then taking our first metallic paint, and it's going to be Iron Warriors, and this is going to be purely for the chainmail here. You can reach it on the underside in there, and then you've got this chain link all the way around here that's holding the hand. So we get those base coated, and then I want to kind of add different color. So for instance, like this bit of wrap here that's holding the skull, on the box art it's brown, it doesn't stand out. You've got brown fur, brown leather, it doesn't work. That's why we did it red. We've got the same on these little sort of tassels at the bottom here. I want them to stand out, and as you can see they clearly do. The colour I'm using here is Eldari Emerald. This is a beautiful, perfect contrasting colour against that blood red that we got at the back there, and it just gives an area of interest for the model to focus on. So paint the Iron Warriors up to that area, and then just put the Eldari Emerald over those little tassely bits at the bottom. Next up, you've got this thing, and I'm not sure what to describe it. It's like a skin wrap that's going from here, and it disappears into the fur. And it starts here and goes all the way around to the back of the head. You can see in the box art, it looks like it's metallic, in the sense that's how it's base coated, but it hasn't got the shine. The colour I've used here, and it is matching to the box art, is Screaming Bell. Again, I don't know what to describe it. It looks like skin, it also looks like it's armour, but essentially that's the colour I've used. Just follow the box art for guidance of where it is, and just very carefully apply it around the back of the head there. Moving on from that, our next silver is going to be Iron Hand Steel. Nice and simple, it's going to be over the entirety of this blade. You're going to need two thin coats just to have a nice, even, solid layer across it. And lastly, we're finishing off our base coating. Our colours are going to be, first of all, Leadbelcher. Now, this is over all the remaining silver details, and the beauty of this, we've got now 3 tones. You've got the Iron Warriors, which is dark, Leadbelcher Medium, and the Iron Hand Steel. It all shows all the different features because they are distinct in what they are. And that's why we've gone with 3 different colours. And once that's all base coated, we're going to take Retributor Armour. Nice and simply, this is over all of our remaining details. Give me a little 360. This is what it should be in this kind of state now. And just to point out that screaming bell, just double checking, it goes all the way around to this bit here. And once that's done, let it dry and then we can shade it. And next up, we're going to shade those details. Nice and simple, classic. We're taking Nuln Oil for all the silver. So that's all 3 different types. And we're taking Reikland Fleshshade for all of our gold detail. Nice and simple, just put it all over. Next up, we're highlighting all of our metallic details. There's 4 different paints we're going to be using here, and they vary depending on what colour we're applying it to. So first off, we're taking Ironbreaker. This is going to be for all of our Leadbelcher details and our Iron Warriors details. Nice and simple, we're just doing classic edge highlighting. Even here, I'm not doing dry brushing. A great way to do these scales is to have a small little tip of the paint on your brush and just hit the scales going upwards, well, in this case, from the bottom upwards, and you're just catching the bottom of each surface as you go along, rather than it settling into the recesses. Just don't overload your brush when you do that. After that, we're still sticking with the silver details. We're going to take Stormhost Silver. This is nice and bright, and it's the only real paint that's going to be visible here when we go on the Iron Hand Steel details, and that's just the sword blade. It's just nice and simple edge highlighting there. The sword is not finished. We're going to be touching it up in the next step. Moving on from that, I've taken Canoptic Alloy, and I've used this over our Screaming Bell details. Just nice, quick, simple edge highlighting. And lastly, for our gold details, we're keeping it classic with highlights of Liberator Gold. And with that, our metallics are done. And finally, we want to tint off that sword with that orange colour. To begin with, what we're going to do is take Gryph Hound Orange. Now, I've thinned this down in a 1-to-1 mix, but it's still going to be very strong. Essentially, what I've done with that mix, I've applied it from the top all the way down, just to roughly about here, where this section is here. Wash the brush, and while it's damp, I started moving the paint around. Now, water and contrast paints don't work well together. But what will happen is, if you keep moving it around, it will slowly break apart and become a very subtle glaze all over. And that's what we want. Now, when that's dried, and again, add as much or as little as you want to that, I've taken Pyroclast Orange Clear. It's quite glossy, and just very simple. Over those runes, I've just gone around in circles. It gives them a shine, just tint it orange, and again, you can add more of that Gryph Hound Orange and just gently blend in the colours just to create a nice transition. But essentially, that's what I've gone for. It just adds to the effect, similar to the box art. Obviously, it's my own take on it. And with that, our model is done. All you've got to do is, like I've done, stick some tufts on if you want to, and you're finished. And there we have it. Urkhan the Dark Warden is complete. What a fantastic Warhammer Day 2025 model he is. He's exclusive, he's big, he's chunky, he's just pretty cool. And there's a nice palette cleanser from all the Drukhari I painted recently. Now, if this video is inspired, then do be sure to give it a like. Make sure you share too, because sharing means others can find the channel, and quite a few described it as a nice little gem of a channel, and that's what I like to do, just to help provide insight and support to help the Warhammer community. And be sure to subscribe too to see all the latest tutorials. And just remember, supporting me means I get to continue supporting you. It really is appreciated, all the help, the love and support you've given so far. So, until the next video, do look after yourselves, and happy hobbying.